with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Did everybody have a chance to read through the minutes from August 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to accept. Chris, second. Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Okay. Okay, public comment. Before I open up the public comment, I would like to remind everyone that this is public comment and not questions and answers. Do we have anybody for public comment?
I don't see anyone.
No one for public comment.
Nope, don't see anyone.
Okay, so we will move on. Randy, highway.
You may have noticed that the cameras outside of this building, they are up, they are not all running, some of them needed longer cords. So we're waiting for that and time to do that. Next on my list of things that I mentioned before was the cameras for the health center are backward, the same exact set, but only one set came in. So, as soon as they come in, we'll start on those. The chip sealing on Page Street is done. So that road is back, besides for putting shoulders down, when we get all the roads done, that road is complete to pre-disaster. Yes, going into that, I have okayed the engineer to go ahead and start the process of surveying and doing bore testing on Fish Mountain Road for the culverts and or a bridge, whatever comes of it. FEMA has asked us to give them a price on replacement of what was there and then move on from there to mitigate it up to a bridge, more than likely. When that will be complete, I don't know. I've emailed him and have not gotten a response. So when it's going to actually be completed. The paving started today on Hamilton Lake Road. It went very well. We're 3/4 done with no hiccups. So tomorrow we will finish that. And then later on, a week or two from now, we will chip seal that, like we did Page Street.
Randy, is that like an all hands on deck? You're getting a lot of other towns helping out?
Yes.
Hamilton Lake?
We have county trucks, area trucks, village truck, and Wells truck.
Nice, very good.
So county's also paving right now in Wells, and tomorrow they will be paving South Shore Road. So,
Good.
yeah. So we're kind of all doing the paving, since we now have two paving companies in the midst of things, it gets a little touch and go with quantities of trucks.
That could get a little complicated in South Shore, couldn't it?
It is, so,
Hamilton Lake and Excelsior are going coming?
because it was going to get very complicated, we, make a long story short, the county pushed it back a day so that we could get the most of it done today while they were in Wells. And then tomorrow they're going to start by John O'Connell's, do that section first. Hopefully by the time they get down to the section by Hamilton Lake Road, we will be complete with Hamilton Lake Road and out of the way.
Good.
Otherwise, their brand new blacktop's gonna have real tracks to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, in case anybody didn't know, Malcolm retires, his last day is Thursday. If you see him, due to the lovely COVID stuff, we're not going to have an all-out celebration or party. He is okay with that. So, if you see him, thank him, congratulate him, whatever way you wanna look at it. And then Wednesday is trash day, if anybody missed it, forgot about it, or whatever. Have said, that's it.
Wow.
Okay.
What?
Unless you want me to keep talking.
I'd love you to.
Okay, so.
Not.
Okay, let's move right on to
Okay,
old
next
old business.
Thank you.
First thing is BST audit. Nancy, would you like to give a report since you've been working with them?
Okay. I had 3 auditors at town hall tag teaming me well, they gave me some heads up on Monday of things they wanted to look at. And then they also sent me more stuff that they wanted to look at by email on Monday night when I thought I had everything pulled. And Betsy and I managed to get those things pulled. And lots of questions on Tuesday and more stuff to take out on Wednesday. And I keep getting emails of what they would like, so there were other things that were scanned and sent to them. I'm hoping that they're done with the visit of being in the building,
Yeah.
and they're just gonna be working on the, finishing it up, I'm hoping. So, that's,
We get the full treatment, we get our money's worth out of it.
oh, yeah. So, that's it.
Okay. Okay, John Foley report?
Oh, okay. I spoke to John Foley, and he gave us an estimate for working this fall on the flower beds. And he calls it step 1. It's to weed all beds, fix the bed above the rock wall by adding topsoil and rocks to fill the holes. And to do that, he figures it would be about $380 to do the weeding, which to me, I don't think that's that bad. And then he would like to do more in the spring, moving plants that we currently have, moving them around, maybe rearranging rock walls and the like. And so that would be something we could look into in the new budget, perhaps putting in a little bit. And he figures that might be about $1,200 to really plant and take care of it. The fall would be just cleanup.
But it would look nice with the new sidewalks.
Oh, yeah.
1,200 total?
Blacktop. so-
1,200
That's
In the spring?
in the spring, yes.
And for that, he's just gonna move plants around?
No, rearrange plants, thin out where needed, add 22 plants to beds, making them more appealing and better flow. Add compost to soil and fertilize plants. Remove bricks around flagpole and set a rock border, single level of rocks. Spread mulch around all the flower beds.
All flower beds?
That's what it
What's
says, yep. There's 3.
What's the third one?
Well, along the building,
Oh, either side,
around the flag,
entrances.
and then up above on the side, the west side of the parking lot.
That rock one.
Water new and transplanted plants for 7 days, and that, the bottom line he has with labor and materials, about $1,281.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a motion that we at least get them started on the weeding and cleaning and fixing what we have now. Bless you.
Bless you. I'll second that.
Sounded like you were gonna start the discussion.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something else.
Well, I know the original cost for the plants when they were put in was about $500. So if we just let it go, it's gonna look terrible, and our $500 investment on plants would be wasted.
Right.
Well, I agree, and I also say that we need to keep up appearances. I like the 2-tiered approach.
Well, this time of year also, it's hard, you can't really get plants.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's just a matter of
But this would
tidying
be-
what we
This
have.
would be a fall cleanup and then a spring heavier work
Prepping for spring. Yeah.
before that.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
John does nice work too.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Chris, the emergency operations.
And the, church board of deacons met, and they are not going to be able to help us out. They said all the rooms in the cellar are being used for either the public to shop at the clothing closet or storage for the clothing closet, and they have no restrooms down there. So I guess we are back to the school. So all we'll have to do is figure out when there's a tornado warning, how we're going to approach that, who's gonna, if we even know there's a tornado warning out.
Well, because it
you
comes
know.
so quick before it happens, that's the
Yeah.
harder part.
You're notified, Randy, when something like that happens, right? No? Okay, I know the sheriff's office is.
The phones make noise.
Yeah, the phones make noise, that's the
Yeah.
notification I get.
But,
I don't get Don for recalling me or nothing.
No.
like that, no.
the emergency plan, and then when it was looked at a year or two ago, kind of hooked it up some as far as the call list. Remember that, you were up here, there was a call list that the supervisor would sort of disseminate, and maybe put some of us, you know, you take these names, you take these names, just to check on folks. I think that's probably the
You're
most.
talking about the vulnerable population list?
Yeah, but it was expanded, and you start there and make those calls saying, look, one of us, probably a supervisor, would be accessing the school, should you want to, you know, go there. I mean, we used to do this with the fire hall as well, and knowing someone would be there, but it's such a quick turnaround. It's not like an ice storm or something else.
Exactly, and if you're gonna be calling 260 sites, it's never gonna happen.
No, you can't. You can't. I
But
think
like
that-
with this Mary, that she's at, the Mountaineer Trail Park all summer long. Not that many people are apparently.
well, summer.
But if we could have one person in each park to notify that we're gonna have the school open
Mhm.
and
When you get that word that you're in
that there's
there's
a warning.
a warning, right? Watch is one thing, warning is like more great. That's a great idea. I mean, they all have presidents.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know, they used to meet, their annual meeting was at
Maybe
the
they
inn
can
for
set up a
40
phone
years.
tree.
Yeah, I think that we have to
Have an action,
have them partially.
you know, an emergency captain or something who can.
Have somebody that the sheriff can notify,
Sure.
and they can
Yes.
take care of notifying everybody
Right.
else.
Because
It's a
those
whistle,
people
siren.
know a whole lot better than you or I
Mm-hmm.
who's in the park
Mhm.
right now, you know, even if it's banging on a
Exactly,
few
yeah.
doors, but
And
that's a good idea.
they also would need someone to notify the school that everyone's coming.
I think Neil said the supervisor would do that.
As part of any emergency plan, somebody's gonna have to access whoever the honcho is with a key.
With the key.
But that's basically already in your plan for almost anything that starts out, if there's a
Mhm.
this and that. This one is just very specific because Chris is right, that, you know, I still can't imagine what the 260 are, but I don't question the number. But those things go over like can of peas when a tornado comes through. And I would think that if you own one of those, you'd wanna be notified.
Anyplace else.
Yeah, you'd wanna be notified.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think
Yes.
it's 80 sites.
You and I might be able to take a mattress and get in the tub and whatever, but, because the house might hold up. These other things don't.
I don't have a
Well,
tub
maybe
or
we
a
can
mattress.
involve this Mary
I don't know who that is, but.
creating a procedure
She's ahead of the
and
trail.
ask her if she knows some people in charge at the other three, so, well, Vicky, obviously.
Yeah, we can.
Maybe we should get together with them and try to come up with a procedure.
Yep, that's what I think would be a good idea.
I think we
We
gotta
have
put it
one
in their
person.
court. I think we need to
Right.
put the ball in their court that, you know, the town and the school can take the initiative to show up and have this facility available. You need to appoint someone who
Mhm.
will, you know, in some way sound a siren. for them.
Someone within, so that they all know
Yes,
Mhm.
what's going on.
yeah,
That's a good idea.
and
I know.
maybe they do need to put up a little siren, that's not a bad idea.
No, it's not. It's something, that, you know, somebody, you know, in the old days used to
Yeah,
Mhm.
Wind it up.
well, you all get, at least I have a newer smartphone, it's smarter than I am, but
Yeah,
I get weather alerts,
yeah, they probably do too.
even from, pollen, high pollen content. You get a little
Really?
triangle,
I don't get that, but.
and you get, but, I guess it's a mute point, but I just, remember that the county buildings showing my age used to be, radio,
Fallout
radio,
shelter.
radio.
Yeah, fallout
Fallout
shelter.
shelter.
Oh, that's right, yeah, I forgot that.
So
And
was
had
the
the
old school.
signs up, yeah.
Yeah.
It's old school, sure. That fallout triangle.
Yeah,
So Chris, you want you and I to get together and I'll help you work on that and get names and numbers, however we wanna do it, and try to get the ball rolling?
I can get the names and numbers together, and then it'll just be a question of when everybody can meet
Mm-hmm. Okay.
with you. You know, I
Okay.
mean, I wanna be there too,
Sure,
yes,
sure.
because I'm on the emergency plan
Mhm.
committee, but they're gonna have to meet with you and me and
Get it together.
whoever else on the board wants to be there.
Right.
Right, but again, I mean,
Okay.
you can't take too much more than the initiative. You really
mhm.
can't be responsible except to tell them to appoint someone, you know,
Right.
and give us that list, but then run with it. When that thing,
Mm-hmm.
alarm goes off for a warning, you wanna make sure that someone is responsible enough to do it.
Exactly.
I wonder, when you
Okay.
said an alarm, I wonder if there's a way if the fire alarm, fire sirens could go.
Well, then everybody thinks it's a fire.
Right, but,
Yeah, it'd be kind of difficult, you need a different tone,
Yeah. How much does something like that cost, you know, Don?
no,
Just a cheap little car?
no idea, it can't be that.
I wonder if they even make the old
What are
ones
like
I'm
those
talking about.
airborne things? My sister used to do that. She used to scare the
I just
geese.
think each trailer park should have their own,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, system that they
The
wanna go
ball and
with.
air core.
I know in
Right,
tornado
right.
country, they all have their own warnings in the hotels and motels,
Yeah,
in case of tornado, do this.
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
yep.
so. Okay, next, I'm very disappointed to say I was supposed to have at least 2 bids for the Nathan Latour floors today, and I did not hear from them, so we'll just have to table that once again. So moving right along to H2O Pure Report. Bill was here to test all the wells on Tuesday, August 25th. We're going to go out and test them and get that going. He did go to check one of the systems, Samuelson's. They had called and said that they were using an extraordinarily large amount of salt. So Bill went and he made adjustments, changed the filter, and he said the system is fine, Mr. Samuelson is happy, everything is good. But this system does need a new UV bulb, which the estimated cost for the bulb and installation, he figures, is about $175. And he will be doing that the same day that he comes up to do the testing on the 25th. This way it's not extra to have him come.
Is that UV bulb, is that a part of the original equipment, or is that an
No,
add-on?
it's not.
It's not on Samuelson's?
It's not part of the court order. We're
Oh.
ordered to filter the water. And then Chris Turner wanted to add an ultraviolet system to his,
Okay, add it.
and it doesn't do anything that the filters don't do. I'm against paying for UV systems that are added on. Yeah, they're
Okay.
added on.
Okay.
by the homeowner.
Well, this one already has it, it's not an add-on.
Yeah,
He
what
already
was
has it,
added
so
on to
he's
the original
replacing it
system?
on Samuelson's as well. I know Turner's was, and then that was,
Well, none of them came with a UV
okay,
treatment light. Is that right, Neil?
I don't know that, this predates me, Chris, but, my reading, as I've said to you a number of times, my reading of the stipulations in the order was just the most onerous tasks for us. I can remember during my transition with Frank, reading it, him right there, I said, Frank, this is impossible, how do we agree to this? You know, it's whatever happens. I mean, because Chris, it would have those sort of things, filter this and that, and then just more verbiage, more legal ease. That's, you know, whatever. I said, this is a never-ending, you know, toasting we're getting here. I said,
So it is never ending, and that's why I
Right,
don't want
but,
the town taking on additional responsibility.
right, but I can't verify whether there was UV in the beginning. I know when I came, they all, a bunch of them had UVs. Of course, so did Bill Waller, but Bill's is a different system. You know, he has more lights because it's
Culligan.
it's a, what do they call it, like a reverse,
Reverse osmosis.
Yeah. With lots of filters and UV bulbs. But, you know, at some point, again, I don't like to get into new fights with folks. At some point, we're gonna say no to something.
Exactly.
And when we do, it'll be their choice to rev that back up. Because until the day, which, you know, we failed so far on that, waiting it out and hoping that the wells would settle all and that the salt would all flush. That's been, I think, kind of a fool's errand because we're adding salt to everybody's property.
Mm-hmm.
We had this, some of you will remember we had this when we had to pay for trees to be cut down
Mm-hmm.
because of the salinization of the roots and so on. But unless we bring water, potable water to them through pipe, i.e. village, this will be never ending. And at some point, the board will have to say no, and we'll have to, you know, gird for a fight should they want one. But, I mean, we don't wanna do it unreasonably, but, God forbid the day comes when someone says, I've got reverse metal action via salt, and now all the pipes in my house are shot.
Right, but originally the town was responsible for salt in the water.
Right.
And salt levels were unhealthy, so I wasn't involved, but this is from what I've heard over the years, that the town agreed to set up a desalinization for these people's wells. It wasn't because the town introduced any kind of harmful bacteria to it, E.
No.
coli, or anything like that. And as far as my understanding is, the UV lights are just for bacteria, such as E. coli or any other harmful bacteria.
Right, so I think that's what Chris is saying. This is their well water.
Mhm.
They're trying to add belt and suspenders to their well water. If we had never stored state salt and salinated their wells, they individually could have put UVs in or not for the purposes of what you're talking about. I know, you know, you're involved in this, you used to test water down at the park, and it's a good idea to have it. I agree with Chris, it's not necessarily something that we are required to pay for.
And last year.
We have spoiled this situation somewhat.
Yeah, last year we voted against providing one for Chris Turner.
For his new house.
Replacement for him, right.
Oh, this was a replacement?
Was it a replacement or the new house? I don't remember.
I think it
But
was
he wanted us
probably,
to pay for one.
he had sold the old one, and now with his new one, he wanted
Wanted
the
us to
system
provide
he
it,
had.
yeah. And we
Again.
voted against it.
Yeah. And do you remember, because I don't, do you remember what if any there was in the way of pushback on that?
Yeah, Josina was really pissy about it.
But nothing,
They were moving,
But that was it.
so
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
that
maybe
was-
that-
They were just looking for that to get them out of the
Right.
house.
but you know, there's, in my time, 6 years in the town hall, we paid to fix a shed that housed the desalinization reverse osmosis system because it had rotted the floors. We paid for a number of trees for Vogels to take down as well. And each
And
time, the
what-
taxpayer would be right there with the court order, saying anything, but to your point, the anything was due to salt,
Right.
not, because anyone's well could have
Mhm.
contaminants, you know, in the way of microbial stuff.
So when the board decided no to Chris Turner, was that an additional UV that he wanted put on his system? Or was it replacing the bulb that
Just the
was
bulb.
on there?
Just the bulb.
It was replacing the bulb.
It's a,
So where do we stand on this?
it's a pretty slippery slope. As well, and I'm not gonna dredge up old wounds, but as well, we have very little in the way of techs on our side, because without Hawk,
who was in place for so long there, you don't really have the history to go back. I mean, we can dig up perhaps what we paid for, but not necessarily why those things were happening and so on. I think this fellow from HCO Pure has been good for us. I think he's honest, but I don't think he really has a handle on what came before. There's a number of times Hawk would say to me, we shouldn't be in that. Because we, me, you, whomever on that board at the time inherited these things from 10 years before that. So we're gonna have to bite the bullet at some point, is my point.
Should we kind of table this till the next meeting, till we find out?
Well, he's coming tomorrow,
He's-
so.
he's
or, I mean,
coming the
on the
25th.
25th, so
with the bulb, so
How much is the bulb?
$170.
he figured it's gonna be for
With
the
installation.
bulb and installation 175 about it.
But I don't think we can really do it, in retail like this, in piecemeal. We probably should formulate a heels-in plan going forward that deals with, from this day forward, our reading of this is, and again, I'm not all that expert on this at this point, but our reading is this, having to do with desalinization only. Our hopes were that over a certain amount of years, that these things would clear via Mother Nature, and slowly but surely that salt would end up in the lake where it ought to go. But it hasn't, at least our tests don't show it completely yet.
Only a town hall was better.
Right, and that I thought was
remember
promising because it might
Yes.
take longer
Yes.
going forward, but we can then apprise all of the recipients of this judgment that, going forward from X date, we will only deal with things that have to do with desalinization.
And we have not tested in 3 years. It's been that long, so let's hope that the numbers are much better.
In the case of this one, probably just to consult with the attorney would cost almost as much as installing this bulb.
Right, well,
But it might
again,
be-
it's really just a question of when you pick your time.
Right,
Because
exactly.
if we say no to this specific bulb at this specific time, you're also saying, well, but it was okay for the others. We just need to make sure that it's understood, whatever we do, that we've had a full and complete reading of our responsibilities, and, and then drop that, as they say, heels in. I don't want to throw a monkey wrench into what
Okay.
you're doing with the HCO Pure right now, Mary.
Okay, so we also got an estimate on the Blennis old system. The cost for the new pump is about $400. Total cost for rebuilding everything, he's figuring is probably gonna be around $750. If you remember, this was going way back. Mr. Blennis had requested his old system back this past spring, because he felt that the one that's in there now was not as big as the other one. So at this time, Bill decided he's gonna wait, he's gonna go ahead and repair the old one and leave it on the shelf. And when he takes out our other one in springtime, Blennis will get his back and we'll have our spare back on the shelf in case we have an emergency. And then we'll be back to where we need to be.
You had reported on that previously.
Yeah, so that's where we stand with that. So, like I said, on Tuesday, August 25th, he'll be up and we'll get all this stuff squared away.
Maybe we'll get some good news.
Yeah. Next topic is.
Can I ask a question?
Sure you can.
It's not. I was just looking at the bills for his bill that it says miscellaneous materials and 1.5 hours of labor, $170. I was just wondering what his hourly rate is.
Don't know.
Yeah, he should include that in the bill. And again, that's the thing, we end up, if we're not careful about how we portion up our visits, we're paying for a lot of portal on these things, which is why we try to get this stuff all done, expeditiously when they're coming up. Another thing Hawk was pretty good at.
I
Maybe
just
we
wrote a
could
note to find out when he comes
ask
up
him
this
what it is.
week. I'll find out what that is and ask him if he could put that on his billing from now on.
Yeah, that's
That would be helpful.
protocol.
Okay, so under new business, last meeting we had discussed the Williamson software for our code enforcement officer. We've been carefully reviewing the budget, and we did find funds available from like the schooling line because of COVID. Bob hasn't been going to school. Excuse me. The miscellaneous line, And there'll also possibly be help from the highway line, because we're going to try to coordinate, Bob did speak to a representative from Williamson this week, to coordinate Randy for the culverts within Bob's system, and it can be done, so we thought possibly we could get a bit from him. And plus you have the building permit revenues from this year, Bob's been so busy, so that would also help. So we feel we have the funds available in the 2020 budget. Anybody want to discuss more further details,
I
questions?
would move it for the purposes of getting a discussion going to
Okay, all right,
purchase
Second.
as per described in the last meeting.
okay, discussion?
I would just like to see Bob draw up a suggestion for a new fee permit schedule to incorporate, raise enough money to cover this every year.
Right, going forward for sure. Yeah.
It's a question of looking at, how many $150 permits are sold, how many $100 permits, how many $50 permits, and kind of, you would know better than I.
We've already done a comparison, which I gave to Betsy, from our town compared to Long Lake, Indian Lake, and State. So
So,
I did give Betsy a comparison,
yeah.
and I don't know if the board wants to take a look at that and what they feel is the best approach to it. Different towns do it different ways. All of the towns charge for removal of stop work orders. All of the towns and the state have fines for.
And we don't?
Nope. And all of the towns have fines for working without a permit, which, one of the towns is like 5 times the building fee if you get caught working without a permit. So, here it's like, there is no penalty for it. I stop in and see somebody working and say, hey, you need a permit for that. They go, oh, I didn't know. Really? Anywhere you
Right.
come from, you
Right.
have building permits.
Yeah.
And,
And quite frankly, if that was their one verbal apprising, one verbal warning, if you were to see something beyond that, it is absolutely appropriate that you have some ability to fine it. I'm not a big more rules, more government guy, but to Chris's point, we do need to pay for our governance. And if we find that I'm just getting a look at it now, but I know Betsy had discussed sitting down with you about it. We should get up to speed on what others are doing. Clearly, I think on both of those,
Right.
a stop work, which is not done lightly. Most inspectors are very, kind that way and say, look, told you once before, I need pictures before you cover that rebar. If I can't make it, you call me, take a picture, whatever. Be accommodating. But when we've had stop work orders, and I know previously when I was working around the town hall, Vicki had a number of them. There's no, but there's no penalty. You
How
stop
would
my
you-
work, so what?
How would you enforce something like that?
What's that?
A fine for a stop work order?
well, until the fine is paid for a stop work order, it's not lifted. And if you have a
Okay.
stop work order in a building and you're caught working, you can be arrested.
Okay, well, that's all I was wondering on.
Yeah.
If we were to get this software this year, that would enable you to start fresh in January with whatever you're doing, I would guess, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So Bob called Williamson's and spoke with a representative from there this week, just because we were trying to get all our information together. And if we decided to go with it this year, they would start working on it in fall and have it ready to take off on January 1st. There is a second part to it, but we would sit back and wait to see what the village is going to do when they come up for their budget session, if they go with Williamson the first part and the second part. The second part is like a portable thing that Bob would take to the jobs, and Bob, you want to speak on that and give details?
Yeah, basically, you can take a tablet with you to a job, you can take pictures, and load it right there on the job site, as long as you have coverage. And, that can be transported right to the computer system. You don't have another step. It's not like I take pictures now, download them on the computer, and have to put them in the correct files. Everything now would be done by property number, so that's the file. The file is the property number, and that's the way it would be kept. And, eventually, when it gets through the assessor's desk, that's where it eventually goes anyway, but you still have all the pictures and stuff are on my computer only. They're not really associated with the property number, they're associated with the permit number.
Would the assessor have to use your computer to see that, or is this something that,
Nope, I can print out whatever he needs from this program.
okay,
If
that
he
sounds
needs
good.
something specific,
Mhm.
I could print it out and just hand it to him.
So what we were thinking, what our train of thought was here is that's why we contacted Long Lake and Indian Lake to do a comparison with us as to their fees. We thought if the board decided to go with this program, then we could get that ball rolling, but then we would like to sit down, Bob and myself, or Bob and Neil, Neil, if you'd like to work with them, on that, and try to come up with new fee schedules so that we can bring it back to the board, and the board agree and kind of tweak it so that that's ready for January 1st, because that would have to be advertised
Sure.
to let everyone know
Sure.
that this is what will be happening January 1st, 2021.
I think it's great information for the board to know what our neighbors are doing, and what the state is doing. The state has their own,
Yes,
standards. But we
Yeah,
are
you
clearly on the bottom of all of them.
You definitely want to let people know if you're gonna start,
Yes,
with a fine or a violation for not having a building permit and getting rid of the stop work order. You definitely want to let people know so that they don't come up with the I don't know excuse.
right,
You know,
right.
it's got to be
mm-hmm.
publicized enough that they're aware of it.
Well,
So,
I'd be happy to meet with Bob and
okay, great,
get a recommendation for the board to look at.
great, okay, so that
Did you
sounds
get a
good.
second
We
on that?
want to
Maybe
vote
the
on
next-
buying that
next one.
software.
So-
then?
Well, I don't
That's-
think we finished that vote.
No, we didn't. So, after the discussion, does someone want to move that we actually purchase the program?
I did.
Oh, Neil did, that's right, and Don seconded. Discussion's over, all in favor of the
Aye.
purchase? Anyone opposed? Okay, so we'll go ahead and get the ball rolling on that, Bob. Your life will be easier. And another thought too is someday, like Bob keeps saying, he's getting older, someday when we do have a
That's
new
it.
code enforcement officer coming in, everything is there at his fingertips.
Oh, I mean,
It's
the
not gonna be
transition,
picking up boxes, absolutely, it'll be such a smooth transition.
all of this is working towards a smoother
Yes,
operation.
yes, so, okay. So next, on to a complaint filed by a taxpayer. On Wednesday, August 5th, I received a complaint via phone message from Joy Eliezer. She can't use her right-of-way beach because there are too many people using it. The village beach is closed for 2 weeks, and there was 25 people on her beach last week. Paul Leonardo is renting his house, and those people are creating a disturbance, and another family from Northwoods Lodge is also using it. Joy thought there are too many people on it with these COVID guidelines. Joy wants this on public record that she filed a complaint. Randy and I got together, I had Randy listen to the message as well, and Randy called the sheriff's office, and they said that they would patrol Golf Course Road on weekends. So that's where we are with the taxpayer complaint. I just wanted to bring it up so that
So
it is
noted.
on public record.
Mhm.
Well,
Next.
What having the sheriff's office patrol the road accomplishes what?
Patrolling the beach down there to make sure there's no large gatherings.
Right.
Oh, no,
COVID,
yeah.
COVID.
For
For
COVID.
COVID issues.
Okay.
Because that's what Joy was concerned about, is there was too many people with the COVID guidelines.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a clarification there too, the village beach isn't closed.
No,
No.
Well, it was when she called on this date, and it was closed for 2 weeks.
There were no lifeguards. People were still at the beach.
yeah,
Well, but the beach was closed because they had no lifeguard, because that person had been in contact with someone that was in contact with someone that had COVID, so they had to close the beach because they had no lifeguard.
right, there's
So that's what
there's
happened.
the technical thing, the village has to call it closed, but it was, as you said, it was populated
Yes.
and being in use, yes.
So,
I don't know if that would suffice for Mrs. Elhazard, but it's a fine point. Many beaches, including the right-of-way beach that she's referring to, also have no lifeguards.
Right.
So next is consolidated health. We had our annual meeting on August 13th at the clinic. All board members were present, which was Carlo Darrow, Dr. Parslow, Jeanette Barrett, Cindy Rumsey, and myself. We passed the 2021 budget. The budget is filed with the county, and this year the budget did not go over the tax cap. Yay, so we're all set with that. So that's it on that, unless somebody has any questions. Okay,
How much is allocated toward the fly car?
48,000. And I did contact Jim Hammond from Camp of the Woods because for 2019 and 2020, they paid the last quarter payment. So I asked him if they would possibly be able to extend it for 2021, and he did answer me back over the weekend and said that with the COVID, there's just no way that he sees they could do it for 21 or further on, so. Our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 8th at 5 p.m. at the library. The change is due to Monday being Labor Day weekend. And next is committee reports. Neil? Don?
Nope.
Chris?
Don't ask me, I've already given my.
Deb?
Nope.
Nance?
Nope.
Nothing? Okay.
Oh,
Alrighty.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Has Verizon started adding the small cell towers?
No, we have not. We're waiting on the APA, and I just got another thick stack this week on our permit for R2 in our town. The file is this thick now, and I'm not exaggerating,
No,
I'm
I believe
serious.
it, yeah.
But we're basically just waiting for the APA to approve for it to be done, and all contracts are signed, everything is complete with that. So, next I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Okay,
No, I got it myself.
a second?
I'll say.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So, okay, no committee reports. How about roundtable? Neil, anything for roundtable?
Nothing we haven't already covered.
Okay?
I have a question.
Okay.
I've been noticing going by the town building that the flag has been at half staff. I go by the county, the post offices, everybody else's flags are flying full staff.
The village one for owners is that also.
Is it-
It's because of COVID.
Yeah, I realize that.
It's a great point, Don, because these things that are because of COVID, you know, there's something to be said. When you fly something at half staff for a day or two, it has great meaning. This has lost
Right.
all punch.
To me, it's depressing.
Well, it's depressing in some places. I said this to the fellow who now runs the inn. I had a lovely meal with a group of people on their deck, and I'm looking at this thing, and of course, it's not the same height as many other poles. So the second flag he has, which is very meaningful to he and his dad, it was like a POW flag, it's damn near in the flower bed. And, you know, there it sits, and of course, can't get it up in any wind, and nothing ever straightens it out. It just, you're right, it's a depressing look. The governor does these things clearly for political reasons, and then never seems to rescind it. So, you know, for me, I would take the bold action to get rid of it. That's a great idea.
I think we should put it right back up to where it should be.
All right. Motion?
Who wants to make a
I would
motion?
like to make a motion, Don, it's your idea.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
Second?
Raise the flag.
Second by all?
Mhm. Second by all. Sounds good.
Good.
Okay.
It'll go up tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Chris, do you have anything for roundtable?
No, I jumped ahead of myself.
I'm on that
Ahead before, so I'm good.
I'll be happy to
You
do that
got
for
your
you, bud.
round table out of the way.
Nancy, anything for roundtable?
No.
Okay. I just have a couple of quick things. The COVID testing clinic will be September 22nd. I have a schedule up here from 10 to 11 at the tennis courts, the county building. The intercom at the clinic is working out very well. Everybody's very pleased with that. And I would just like to mention to please encourage anybody you know that has not completed the census to do so. Our county numbers are really down, so the county is trying to come up with a way for a mailer to get out to everyone, to encourage them to do so. Next thing is Carla had mentioned that there's a problem at the clinic, and I know we went through this years ago, where you could hear from one examining room to another. So after talking, and I talked with Andy about it, we were saying maybe they could just get like an Alexa and get a wireless speaker and have one in one room and one in another and play soft music or something so that it kind of muffles out the conversation in the other room. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't know that there's a solution. I know we've already been that route once.
Yeah, I
We
think,
did the whole, drill a hole, fill it with insulation,
Right.
patch up all the sheet rock
We
and,
brought in a
Got
contractor.
absolutely
Acoustical
no-
tile on the walls.
huh?
Well,
What about acoustical tile on the walls?
Well,
Well,
now you're into the size thing,
the world, yeah, the word,
Size thing?
as far as you're taking up some of the space in the room.
oh, it's a bigger step than you
Oh,
think.
okay.
But we brought in a company to look at that versus drilling
I like
and
those.
foam insulation. We put foam insulation between all the exam things. It was mainly, in those days, it was mainly Veronica who felt that there was a certain amount of things. And I thought I heard at one time when I was in an exam room, if all of the baffles or whatever you call them were all open, there's a couple of walls in there that are lead because of anticipated.
X-ray machine.
Well, they thought there was gonna be X-ray. But, you know, I don't really think this is a starter. We're the landlord. I think if they have positive recommendations, we should look at them.
Mhm.
I think we're chasing our tail too.
okay,
If they think clinically that they see something and they see some solutions, perhaps they should bring them to us.
okay, I'll speak to Carla.
I've been a patient there ever since it opened, and I can't say I overheard anything. Maybe some mumbles in the room next door.
Yeah, it's muffled, and,
Yeah.
and I have
Yeah,
the water cup up there, so I
And
can't
the
hear.
other thing is, if we have music playing, as pleasant as it is, our elderly population can't hear if there's any background noise.
Mhm. Yeah, I
That's
think,
true too.
I think clinically, they probably wouldn't be for that, and then we'll spin our wheels for other solutions. I think mainly the suggestion should go up her chain from Carla.
Okay.
You know as well as I do, that if we act on something strictly from Carla, we will hear it from the Vice President of Primary Care.
And yes, we will.
So
As
I
we
think
will.
it should work up the chain and let them come up with some request. I don't think we've ever denied them as a tenant a request that we couldn't either go to the Twigs and say, geez, we need this, or Consolidated Health has always been generous towards primary care, so.
Okay, so next I just want to say that we just received new pickleball nets and bags that were ordered, and the Consolidated Health covered the expenses. So they're happy because I believe they start tomorrow, Deb?
There's a game tomorrow or
So
tournament or something.
We're very
so they're
happy to
really
have new nets for that. So that's about all I have. We're going to be going into executive session tonight, so I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person.
Don't move.
Okay, second? Okay,
Second, Chris?
yep. Okay. Good night, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
that,
Bye, Bob.
Good luck with the new
See you
stuff.
tomorrow.
I just muted.
Somebody has to turn Gary's thing off.
I don't know how to turn Gary's thing off.
Just unplug the microphone.
That could work.
I don't know.
I'll turn the microphone off.
Randy left the building here.